I, Angel Gabriel, bring you a tale, a story whispered on the winds of change, carried on the backs of starlings flitting across twilight skies. A story not just for children, but for those of us who have lived long enough to see the gleam of gold tarnish and the sharp edges of the world leave their mark. This is the story of generosity and giving, and it begins as all good fairy tales do. Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled between whispering mountains and a restless sea, lived a king named Alaric. He was a man known for his sharp intellect, his strategic mind, and the vast riches he had accumulated through shrewd trade and some whispered, less than scrupulous deals. His coffers overflowed with gold, his vaults glittered with jewels, and his warehouses groaned under the weight of silks, spices, and treasures from every corner of the known world. But within King Alaric's heart, a barren landscape stretched, untouched by warmth or compassion. He hoarded his wealth, fearing scarcity where abundance reigned. He saw generosity as weakness, giving as foolishness. He believed that true power resided in accumulation, in possessing more than anyone else. His kingdom, however, was not as fortunate. As its ruler, years of harsh taxes, combined with Alaric's unwillingness to invest in his people, had left the land weary and its inhabitants struggling. Farmers toiled in fields that yielded less and less. Artisans crafted goods they could barely afford to keep. And children went to bed with empty bellies. One day, a traveling peddler, his cart laden with trinkets and tales from distant lands, arrived in the capital city. He was a wizened old man, his face etched with wrinkles that spoke of countless journeys and his eyes twinkling with an inner light. He was known only as Alara, the story weaver. He set up his stall in the marketplace, but instead of hawking his wares, he began to tell stories. Tales of brave heroes, mischievous spirits, and wise elders who understood the true meaning of wealth. People gathered around him, drawn in by his captivating voice and the glimmer of hope his stories offered. King Alaric, alerted to the commotion, summoned Alara to the palace. He sat upon his golden throne, his face a mask of suspicion. I hear you are filling the heads of my people with fanciful tales, he said, his voice sharp as a winter wind. What is your purpose here? Alara bowed low, his eyes meeting the king's with a gentle steadfastness. My purpose, your majesty, is to remind your people of the value of kindness, the power of generosity, and the enduring strength of community. Alaric scoffed. Kindness, generosity. Those are luxuries I cannot afford. My kingdom thrives on strength, on ambition, on acquisition. These sentimental notions are for fools. Alara smiled faintly. Perhaps, your majesty, you have mistaken true strength for mere force, and true wealth for mere possession. Intrigued and irritated in equal measure, Alaric challenged Alara. Very well, story weaver. Tell me a story. Tell me a story that will convince me that generosity is more valuable than gold, that giving is more powerful than taking. If you succeed, I will consider your words. If you fail, you will be banished from my kingdom. Alara nodded. I accept your challenge, your majesty. This is the tale of the sunken treasure of Serenia. And so, he began to weave his story. In the kingdom of Serenia, nestled on a jewel-toned island, lived a princess named Lyra. Serenia was renowned for its prosperity, its beauty, and the generosity of its people. They shared their bounty freely, helping those in need and celebrating their good fortune together. But one day, a terrible storm swept across the island, unleashing its fury on the land and sea. The royal treasury, filled with precious jewels and shimmering gold, was washed away by the raging waves and sunk to the bottom of the ocean. The people of Serenia were distraught. Not only had they lost their wealth, but they feared that the storm was a sign of divine displeasure, a punishment for some hidden wrongdoing. Princess Lyra, however, refused to despair. She gathered her people and said, "Our treasure is gone, yes, but our spirit remains. We will not succumb to fear and greed. Instead, we will rebuild our kingdom, not with gold, but with kindness. We will share what little we have, and together we will overcome this adversity." And so, the people of Serenia, inspired by their princess, began to help one another. Farmers shared their crops, artisans offered their skills, and fishermen risked their lives to feed the hungry. They worked together with unwavering determination to restore their beloved island. Meanwhile, divers searched for the sunken treasure, hoping to recover the kingdom's lost wealth. But after weeks of fruitless searching, they returned empty-handed. Princess Lyra, however, remained undeterred. She knew that true treasure was not found in gold and jewels, but in the hearts of her people. One day, a young boy, searching for shells on the beach, stumbled upon a small, unassuming chest. Inside, he found not gold or jewels, but seeds of rare and beautiful flowers that had once bloomed in Serenia's royal gardens. Princess Lyra realized that these seeds were more valuable than any treasure. She distributed them among her people, and soon, the island was ablaze with color and fragrance. The flowers attracted bees, which pollinated the crops, leading to a bountiful harvest. The beauty of the gardens drew visitors from far and wide, revitalizing the kingdom's economy. Serenia flourished once more, not because they had recovered their lost treasure, but because they had discovered the true treasure within themselves. Their capacity for generosity, their willingness to give, and their unwavering belief in the power of community. They learned that true wealth lies not in what you possess, but in what you share. Alara finished his story, and a hush fell over the courtyard. King Alaric sat in silence, his face unreadable. He pondered the tale of Princess Lyra and the sunken treasure of Serenia. He saw in her resilience a strength he had never understood, in her generosity a power he had always dismissed. Finally, he spoke, his voice softer than before. A compelling story weaver. But is it truly possible? Can a kingdom truly thrive on generosity alone? Ilara replied, "Your Majesty, I do not claim that generosity is the only virtue needed for a thriving kingdom, but it is a vital one. It fosters trust, builds community, and unlocks the potential that lies dormant within each individual. When people feel valued and supported, they are more likely to contribute their skills and talents to the common good." King Alaric remained silent for a long moment. Then he gestured to his guards. "Bring me the royal ledgers," he commanded. He spent the rest of the day poring over the accounts, his brow furrowed in concentration. The next morning, he emerged from the palace, his face etched with a new determination. He summoned his advisors and announced a radical change in policy. He would lower taxes, invest in infrastructure, and establish a fund to support struggling farmers and artisans. His advisors were shocked. They warned him that such generosity would bankrupt the kingdom. But Alaric remained firm. "We have hoarded our wealth for too long," he said. "It is time to share it with those who need it most." It is time to invest in our people, not just in our coffers. The change was not immediate. There were challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But slowly, steadily, the kingdom began to transform. Farmers cultivated fertile fields, artisans crafted exquisite goods, and children laughed and played in the streets. The air buzzed with a renewed sense of hope and possibility. King Alaric too was transformed. He learned to listen to his people, to empathize with their struggles, and to find joy in their successes. He discovered that true power resided not in hoarding wealth, but in empowering others. He continued to rule with wisdom and strength, but he also ruled with compassion and generosity. And his kingdom, once weary and struggling, blossomed into a land of prosperity and peace, a testament to the enduring power of giving. And so, Frister Gabriel, that is the tale of generosity and giving. May it serve as a reminder that true wealth lies not in what we possess, but in what we share. May it inspire us to open our hearts and hands to those in need, and to build a world where kindness and compassion reign supreme. This is not just a story for children, but a lesson for us all, regardless of age or experience. For the journey of understanding true generosity is a lifelong one, and the rewards are immeasurable.